Morning. It's a bright and sunshiny day. Hey. I just want to brief everybody on Tate's, but this is from March, so there's no new. Oh, I'm on this page. So. Hold on. She's she's put up a whole bunch of. Oh, come on. Seriously. She put up a whole bunch of pictures of really old pictures, black and white pictures. And I want like an update on the kid. Does this mean that he passed away? I have a feeling he passed away. Because it's just nothing but these pictures. We'll start a little bit. I wanted to get an update on him. How about this? We'll do the update when I get to it. Because I keep messing up. Okay? I'm gonna keep on flipping. No. I'll come to a picture of him. Okay. Oh, 2017. Oh, I think I went back a little too much. Oh, okay. I was on here. That was done. Oh, that was wrong. I don't even have an updated. I have a feeling he might be passed away. That's. So I'll just keep on doing this. Okay, let's just start. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we have forgiven those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, Jehovah, for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. And thank you for what you did for me and others in the past, present, and what you will do for us in the future. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please, Jehovah, um, I don't know the update on Tate, but he did pass. Please, I hope he didn't pass, and suffer. And if he did pass, he's not suffering more of being sick all the time. But if he's still alive, I hope, and I feel like he's still alive though, but I have no proof on that yet. Please continue to give him mental and physical strength so he can fight his cancer and his heart condition. Please help Cindy Lee, Lisa, Shannon Doherty, King Charles, Princess Kate, Jen's friend Shannon, and Isabella Strahan all have cancer, different kinds and different stages. Please give them physical and mental strength so they can fight off their diseases. Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome. Please give her physical and mental strength to fight hers off, and give her strength if she's coming back to singing. Jenny, Christina, and Tiffany, please look after their health needs, as well as Robin Taylor. and Robin Taylor's two grandsons who lost their mother unexpectedly. Miss Diane, just look after her on her transition into eternal rest, and will continue to help her daughters find a permanent home and help Arnie, Vicky, and family, Carol and mom. Okay. The last update on Tate was February 15th. It says what risks come with receiving a heart transplant? A lot. This is what our risk looks like. PTLD, post transplant lymph proliferative disorder. What do we do for it? Post trans they call it FTLD. Is the name of types of lymphoma that sometimes develop in people who have had a transplant. It can affect people who are taking medicines to suppress their immune system after an organ transplant to prevent rejection after an allogene donor stem cell transplant to prevent graft virus host disease. Oh boy. Tate continues to do T cell therapy along with chemotherapy every 6 months. Oh well. And on March 25th, that's where she started uploading these videos, those old fashioned looking pictures. Ivy, go lay down, please. Just go lay down. Okay, so he's alive still. So, sometimes we just have to get going later and just, whatever we keep on praying, please save him, please save him, when he's been gone. He could have been gone from before Christmas. 'Cause I have not, I don't think I've seen an update on him for a while. Oh, my eyes are like not good. You want to see what I did yesterday? Look at that beer cub. Yeah, I'm loving my Prince colors today. I got everything ready last night. What's this? Different things I can read. That, that's that new thing. We're doing Bible stories. You probably seen on the thumbnail on the name of something else builds a temple. I have no idea how that got there because I did put in Solomon. Ivy, go, just lay down. If you're gonna sit there and whine, play. Oh, she's mad because I took away her toy. Look, this is a new one. She gutted it. So I'll fix it after devotions. I'll stitch him up, okay? And then you can have him back. But you gotta be careful, okay? Alright? Her first one never got, well, yeah. Her first one did get ripped. But my brother threw it away before I could fix it. But that's okay. It looked right. It didn't look that nice. Alright, I want to make sure I'm not skipping anything. Yeah, no. We're good.
Story number 64. Solomon builds the temple. Before David died, he gave Solomon the plans from God for building Jehovah's temple. In the 4th year of his rule, Solomon begins building the temple, and it takes 7.5 years to finish it. Tens of thousands of men work on the temple, and the building costs lots and lots of money. This is because so much gold and silver are used in it. The temple has 2 main rooms, just as the tabernacle had. But these rooms are twice the size of those in the tabernacle. Solomon has the Ark of the Covenant put in the inside room of the temple, and the other things that were kept in the tabernacle are put in the other room. When the temple is finished, there is a big celebration. Solomon kneels in front of the temple and prays, as you can see in the picture. Not even all of heaven is large enough to hold you, Solomon says to Jehovah. How much less, then, can this temple hold you? But, oh my God, please listen to your people when they pray toward this place. When Solomon finishes his prayer, fire comes down from heaven. It burns up the animal sacrifices that had been made. And a bright light from Jehovah fills the temple. This shows that Jehovah is listening, and that he is pleased with the temple and Solomon's prayer. The temple, rather than the tabernacle, now becomes the place where the people come to worship. For a long time, Solomon rules in a wise way, and the people are happy. But Solomon marries many women from other countries who do not worship Jehovah. Can you see one of them worshiping before the idol? Finally, his wives get Solomon to worship other gods too. Do you know what happens when Solomon does this? He no longer treats the people kindly. He becomes cruel, and the people are not happy anymore. This makes Jehovah angry with Solomon, and he tells him, I will take the kingdom away from you and give it to another man. I will not do this in your lifetime, but during the rule of your son. But I won't take all the people of the kingdom away from your son. Let's see how this happens.
Okay, let's read the passages. I'm going to let them read it because, you know, he reads it better than me, okay?
He gave him the architectural plan of everything that had been conveyed to him.
Sorry, that second, no, First Chronicles 28. Oh, I'm sorry. 9 to 21. Sorry.
And you, Solomon, my son, know the God of your father, and serve him with a complete heart and with a delightful soul. For Jehovah searches through all hearts, and he discerns every inclination of the thoughts. If you search for him, he will let himself be found by you. But if you leave him, he will reject you forever. See now, for Jehovah has chosen you to build a house as a sanctuary. Be courageous and go to work.
David then gave to his son Solomon the architectural plan of the porch, its houses, its storerooms, its roof chambers, its inner rooms, and the house of the propitiatory cover. He gave him the architectural plan of everything that had been conveyed to him through inspiration for the courtyards of Jehovah's house, for all the dining rooms around it, for the treasuries of the house of the true God, and for the treasuries of the things made holy. Also for the divisions of the priests and of the Levites, for all the duties of the service of Jehovah's house, and for all the utensils of the service of Jehovah's house. Also for the weight of the gold for all the utensils for the different services, the weight of all the utensils of silver, and for all the utensils for the different services. Also the weight for the gold lampstands and their gold lamps, the weight of the different lampstands and their lamps, and the weight of the silver lampstands, for each lampstand and its lamps according to its use. Also the weight of the gold for the tables of the layer bread, for each table, as well as the silver for the tables of silver, for the forks, the bowls, the pitchers of pure gold, and the weight of the small gold bowls, for each small bowl, and the weight of the small silver bowls, for each small bowl. He also gave the weight for the refined gold for the incense altar, and for the representation of the chariot, namely the cherubs of gold that spread their wings out and overshadow the ark of the covenant of Jehovah. David said,
The hand of Jehovah was upon me, and he gave me insight to put all the details of the architectural plan in writing.
Then David said to his son Solomon,
Be courageous and strong, and go to work. Do not be afraid or be terrified, for Jehovah God, my God, is with you. He will not desert you or abandon you, but he will be with you until all the work for the service of Jehovah's house is finished. And here are the divisions of the priests and of the Levites for all the service of the house of the true God. You have willing, skilled workers to perform every kind of service, as well as the princes and all the people who will carry out all your instructions.
Yep. Now, First Chronicles chapter 29. 1 through 9.
Chapter 29. King David now said to all the congregation,
My son Solomon, the one whom God has chosen, is young and inexperienced, and the work is great. For it is not a temple for man, but for Jehovah God. And I have spared no effort to prepare for the house of my God, providing the gold for the gold work, the silver for the silver work, the copper for the copper work, the iron for the iron work, the timbers for the timber work, onyx stones and stones to be set with mortar, mosaic pebbles, every kind of precious stone, and alabaster stones in great quantity. Moreover, because of my delight in the house of my God, there is also my private treasure of gold and silver that I am giving to the house of my God, in addition to all that I have prepared for the holy house, including 3,000 talents of gold from Ophir, and 7,000 talents of refined silver for coating the walls of the houses, the gold for the gold work, and the silver for the silver work, and for all the work to be done by the craftsmen. Now who volunteers to come forward today with a gift in hand for Jehovah?
So the princes of the paternal houses, the princes of the tribes of Israel, the chiefs of thousands and of hundreds, and the chiefs of the business of the king came forward voluntarily. And they gave to the service of the house of the true God 5,000 talents of gold, 10,000 derricks, 10,000 talents of silver, 18,000 talents of copper, and 100,000 talents of iron. Whoever had precious stones gave them to the treasury of the house of Jehovah, under the care of Jehiel the Gershonite. The people rejoiced over making these voluntary offerings, for they made the voluntary offerings to Jehovah with a complete heart, and David the king also rejoiced greatly.
Alright, next one is, I'll go back to the story. First Kings, chapter 5, 1 through 18.
Chapter 5. When Hiram, the king of Tyre, heard that Solomon had been anointed as king in place of his father, he sent his servants to Solomon, for Hiram had always been a friend of David's. In turn, Solomon sent word to Hiram, "You well know that David my father was not able to build a house for the name of Jehovah his God because of the wars waged against him from every side, until Jehovah put his enemies under the soles of his feet. But now Jehovah my God has given me rest on all sides. There is no one opposing me, and nothing bad happening. So I intend to build a house for the name of Jehovah my God, just as Jehovah promised to David my father, saying, 'Your son, whom I will put on your throne in your place, he is the one who will build the house for my name. Now command your people to cut cedars of Lebanon for me. My servants will work with your servants, and I will pay the wages of your servants according to the rate you set. For you are aware that not one of us knows how to cut trees like the Sidonians.'" When Hiram heard Solomon's words, he rejoiced greatly and said,
May Jehovah be praised today, for he has given David a wise son over this great people.
So Hiram sent word to Solomon,
I have heard the message you sent to me. I will do all you desire in providing the cedar and juniper timbers. My servants will bring them down from Lebanon to the sea, and I will make them use long rafts to go by sea to the place that you designate to me. I will have them broken up there, and you can carry them away. In exchange, you will provide the food that I request for my household.
So Hiram supplied all the timbers of cedar and juniper that Solomon desired. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 core measures of wheat as food supplies for his household, and 20 core measures of very fine olive oil. That was what Solomon gave Hiram year after year. And Jehovah gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. King Solomon conscripted men for forced labor out of all Israel. 30,000 men were conscripted. He would send them to Lebanon in shifts of 10,000 each month. They would spend a month in Lebanon and 2 months at their homes. And Adoniram was over those conscripted for forced labor. Solomon had 70,000 common laborers and 80,000 stonecutters in the mountains, as well as Solomon's 3,300 princely deputies, who served as foremen to supervise the workmen. At the king's order, they quarried large stones, expensive stones, to lay the foundation of the house with hewn stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the Gebalites did the cutting, and they prepared the timbers and the stones to build the house.
Okay. Second Chronicles, chapter 6, verses 12 through 42.
Then he stood before the altar of Jehovah in front of all the congregation of Israel, and he spread out his hands. For Solomon had made a platform of copper and put it in the middle of the court. It was 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high, and he stood on it. And he knelt down in front of all the congregation of Israel, and spread his hands out to the heavens. And he said,
O Jehovah, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in the heavens or on the earth, keeping the covenant and showing loyal love to your servants who are walking before you with all their heart. You have kept the promise that you made to your servant David, my father. You made the promise with your own mouth, and this day you have fulfilled it with your own hand. And now, O Jehovah, the God of Israel, keep the promise you made to your servant David, my father, when you said, there will never fail to be a man of your line before me to sit on the throne of Israel, if only your sons will pay attention to their way by walking in my law, just as you have walked before me. And now, O Jehovah, the God of Israel, let the promise that you made to your servant David prove trustworthy. But will God really dwell with mankind on the earth? Look, the heavens, yes, the heaven of the heavens cannot contain you. How much less then this house that I have built? Now pay attention to the prayer of your servant and to his request for favor, O Jehovah my God. And listen to the cry for help and to the prayer that your servant is praying before you. May your eyes be open toward this house day and night, toward the place where you said that you would put your name, to listen to the prayer that your servant prays toward this place. And listen to your servant's pleas for help, and to the pleas of your people Israel when they pray toward this place. And may you hear from your dwelling place, from the heavens. Yes, may you hear and forgive. If a man sins against his fellow man and is made to take an oath and is brought under liability to the oath, and while under the oath he comes before your altar in this house, may you then hear from the heavens and act, and judge your servants by paying back the wicked one, and bringing what he did on his own head, and by pronouncing the righteous one innocent, and rewarding him according to his own righteousness. And if your people Israel are defeated by an enemy because they kept sinning against you, and they return and glorify your name, and pray and beg for favor before you in this house, may you then hear from the heavens and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land that you gave to them and their forefathers. when the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because they kept sinning against you, and they pray toward this place, and glorify your name, and turn back from their sin because you humbled them? May you then hear from the heavens, and forgive the sin of your servants, of your people Israel. For you will instruct them about the good way in which they should walk, and bring rain on your land that you gave to your people as an inheritance. If a famine occurs in the land, or a pestilence, a scorching blight, mildew, swarming locusts, or voracious locusts, or if their enemies besiege them in any of the cities of the land, or if any other sort of plague or disease occurs, whatever prayer, whatever request for favor may be made by any man, or by all your people Israel, for each one knows his own plague and his own pain, when they spread out their hands toward this house, then may you hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, and may you forgive and reward each one according to all his ways, for you know his heart. You alone truly know the human heart, so that they may fear you by walking in your ways all the days they live on the land that you gave to our forefathers. Also concerning the foreigner who is not part of your people Israel, and who comes from a distant land because of your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm, and he comes and prays toward this house, may you then listen from the heavens, your dwelling place, and do all that the foreigner asks of you, so that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you, as your people Israel do, and may know that your name has been called on this house that I have built. If your people go to war against their enemies in the way that you send them, and they pray to you in the direction of this city that you have chosen, and toward the house that I have built for your name, then hear from the heavens their prayer and their request for favor, and execute judgment for them. If they sin against you, for there is no man who does not sin, and you are furious with them, and you abandon them to an enemy, and their captors carry them off captive to a land, far or near, and they come to their senses in the land where they were carried off captive, and they return to you, and beg you for favor in the land where they are captives, saying, we have sinned and done wrong, we have acted wickedly. And they return to you with all their heart and all their soul in the land of their captivity where they were carried off captive. And they pray in the direction of their land that you gave to their forefathers, and the city that you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name. Then hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, their prayer, and their request for favor, and execute judgment for them, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Now, O my God, please, may your eyes be opened and your ears attentive to the prayer offered in this place. And now go up, O Jehovah God, to your resting place, you and the ark of your strength. Let your priests, O Jehovah God, be clothed with salvation, and let your loyal ones rejoice in your goodness. O Jehovah God, do not reject your anointed one. May you remember your loyal love to David, your servant.
Yes. Then the next one, 1 through 5.
Chapter 7. Now as soon as Solomon had finished praying, fire came down from the heavens and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and Jehovah's glory filled the house. The priests were unable to enter the house of Jehovah because Jehovah's glory had filled the house of Jehovah. And all the people of Israel were looking on when the fire came down and the glory of Jehovah was upon the house. And they bowed low with their faces to the ground on the pavement and prostrated themselves and thanked Jehovah, for he is good. His loyal love endures forever.
Amen.
Now the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Jehovah. King Solomon offered the sacrifice of 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep. Thus the king and all the people inaugurated the house of the true God.
Mm. And then 1 Kings 11, chapter 11, verses 9 through 13. I guess I don't let them do it. Because they do it better.
Jehovah became furious at Solomon because his heart had inclined away from Jehovah, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice and had warned him about this very thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not obey what Jehovah had commanded. Jehovah now said to Solomon, "Because you have done this, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes as I told you, I will surely rip the kingdom away from you, and I will give it to one of your servants. However, for the sake of your father David, I will not do it in your lifetime. I will rip it out of the hand of your son, but I will not rip away the entire kingdom. One tribe I will give to your son, for the sake of David my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen." Jehovah then raised up a
Oh. And now the kingdom is divided. Oh boy. Let's find out what's going on.
Story number 65. The kingdom is divided. Do you know why this man is ripping his robe to pieces? Jehovah told him to do it. This man is God's prophet Ahijah. Do you know what a prophet is? He is a person that God tells ahead of time what is going to happen. Ahijah is here speaking to Jeroboam. Jeroboam is a man that Solomon put in charge of doing some of his building work. When Ahijah meets Jeroboam here on the road, Ahijah does a strange thing. He takes off the new robe that he is wearing and tears it into 12 pieces. He tells Jeroboam, "Take 10 pieces for yourself." Do you know why Ahijah gives Jeroboam 10 pieces? Ahijah explains that Jehovah is going to take the kingdom away from Solomon. He says that Jehovah is going to give 10 tribes to Jeroboam. This means that only 2 tribes will be left for Solomon's son Rehoboam to rule over. When Solomon hears what Ahijah told Jeroboam, he becomes very angry. He tries to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam runs away to Egypt. After a while, Solomon dies. He was king for 40 years, but now his son Rehoboam is made king. Down in Egypt, Jeroboam hears that Solomon is dead, so he comes back to Israel. Rehoboam is not a good king. He is even meaner to the people than his father Solomon had been. Jeroboam and some other important men go to King Rehoboam and ask him to be nicer to the people. But Rehoboam does not listen. In fact, he becomes even meaner than before. So the people make Jeroboam king over 10 tribes, but the 2 tribes of Benjamin and Judah keep Rehoboam as their king. Jeroboam does not want his people to go to Jerusalem to worship at Jehovah's temple. So he makes 2 golden calves and gets the people of the 10-tribe kingdom to worship them. Soon the land becomes filled with crime and violence. There is also trouble in the 2-tribe kingdom. Less than 5 years after Rehoboam becomes king, the king of Egypt comes to fight against Jerusalem. He takes away many treasures from Jehovah's temple. So it is for only a short time that the temple remains the same as when it was built. Story number 66.
Oh, no, we're not doing 66. 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 26 through 43.
And there was Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite from Zeradah, a servant of Solomon's, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow. He too began to rebel against the king. This is why he rebelled against the king. Solomon had built the mound and had closed up the gap of the city of David, his father. Now this Jeroboam was a capable man. When Solomon saw that the young man was a hard worker, he made him overseer over all the compulsory service of the house of Joseph. During that time, Jeroboam went out from Jerusalem, and the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him on the road. Ahijah was wearing a new garment, and the 2 of them were by themselves in the field. Ahijah took hold of the new garment he was wearing and ripped it into 12 pieces. Then he said to Jeroboam,
Take 10 pieces for yourself, for this is what Jehovah the God of Israel says. Here I am ripping the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and I will give you 10 tribes. But 1 tribe will remain his, for the sake of my servant David, and for the sake of Jerusalem, the city I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. I will do this because they have left me, and are bowing down to Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, to Chemosh, the god of Moab, and to Milcom, the god of the Ammonites. And they have not walked in my ways, by doing what is right in my eyes, and observing my statutes and my judgments, as his father David did. But I will not take the entire kingdom out of his hand, and I will keep him as a chieftain for all the days of his life, for the sake of David my servant whom I chose, because he obeyed my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingship out of the hand of his son, and give it to you, that is, 10 tribes. To his son I will give 1 tribe, so that David my servant may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, the city that I have chosen for myself as the place to put my name. I will take you, and you will reign over all that you desire, and you will become king over Israel. And if you obey all that I command you, and walk in my ways, and do what is right in my eyes by obeying my statutes and my commandments, just as David my servant did, I will also be with you. I will build you a lasting house, just as I have built for David, and I will give you Israel. And I will humiliate the offspring of David because of this, but not always.
So Solomon tried to put Jeroboam to death. But Jeroboam fled to Egypt, to Shishak, the king of Egypt, and he remained in Egypt until Solomon's death. As for the rest of the history of Solomon, all that he did and his wisdom, is it not written in the book of the history of Solomon? The length of Solomon's reign in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. Then Solomon was laid to rest with his forefathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and his son Rehoboam became king in his place. Chapter 12. Rehoboam.
Chapter 12. First Kings chapter 12, 1 through 33.
Chapter 12. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. As soon as Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard of it, he was still in Egypt because he had run off on account of King Solomon and was living in Egypt. They sent for him. After that, Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came to Rehoboam and said,
Your father made our yoke harsh. But if you make the harsh service of your father easier, and you lighten the heavy yoke he put on us, we will serve you.
At this he said to them,
Go away for 3 days, then return to me.
So the people went away. King Rehoboam then consulted with the older men who had served his father Solomon while he was alive, saying,
What advice would you give on how to reply to this people?
They answered him, If today you would become a servant to this people and submit to their request and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants. However, he rejected the advice that the older men gave him, and he consulted with the young men who had grown up with him and who were now his attendants. He asked them,
What advice do you offer on how we should reply to this people who have said to me, Make the yoke your father put on us lighter?
The young men who had grown up with him said to him,
This is what you should say to this people who have said to you, Your father made our yoke heavy, but you should make it lighter for us. This is what you should tell them. My little finger will be thicker than my father's hips. My father imposed a heavy yoke on you, but I will add to your yoke. My father punished you with whips, but I will punish you with scourges.
Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the 3rd day, just as the king had said, Return to me on the 3rd day. But the king answered the people harshly, rejecting the advice that the older men had given him. He spoke to them according to the advice of the young men, saying,
My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father punished you with whips, but I will punish you with scourges.
So the king did not listen to the people, for this turn of events was caused by Jehovah, in order to carry out the word that Jehovah had spoken through Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. When all Israel saw that the king refused to listen to them, the people replied to the king,
What share do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your gods, O Israel. Now look after your own house, O David.
With that, Israel returned to their homes. But Rehoboam continued to reign over the Israelites living in the cities of Judah. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was in charge of those conscripted for forced labor. But all Israel stoned him to death. King Rehoboam managed to mount his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. And the Israelites have been in revolt against the house of David down to this day. As soon as all Israel heard that Jeroboam had returned, they summoned him to the assembly and made him king over all Israel. None of the people followed the house of David except the tribe of Judah. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem, he immediately congregated all the house of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 trained warriors, to fight against the house of Israel in order to restore the kingship to Rehoboam the son of Solomon. Then the word of the true God came to Shemaiah, the man of the true God, saying, Say to Rehoboam the son of Solomon, the king of Judah, and to all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and the rest of the people, This is what Jehovah says. You must not go up and fight against your Israelite brothers. Each one of you must return to his house, for I have caused this to happen. So they obeyed the word of Jehovah and went back home, as Jehovah had told them. Jeroboam then built up Shechem in the mountainous region of Ephraim and lived there. From there he went out and built up Penuel. Jeroboam said in his heart,
Now the kingdom will return to the house of David.
If this people continues to go up to offer sacrifices at the house of Jehovah in Jerusalem, the heart of this people will also return to their lord, King Rehoboam of Judah. Yes, they will kill me and return to King Rehoboam of Judah."
After consultation, the king made 2 golden calves and said to the people,
"It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here is your God, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt."
Then he placed one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. And this caused them to sin. And the people went as far as Dan to...
I'm sorry you're hurting. I do pray for you and your mother, Carol.
worship the one there. And he made houses of worship on the high places, and appointed priests from the people in general, those who were not Levites. Jeroboam also established a festival in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like the festival in Judah. On the altar that he made at Bethel, he sacrificed to the calves he had made. And at Bethel he assigned priests for the high places that he had made. And he began to make offerings on the altar that he had made at Bethel, on the 15th day in the 8th month, in the month that he had devised on his own. And he established a festival for the people of Israel, and he ascended the altar to make offerings and sacrificial smoke.
Next is chapter 14. Verses 21 through 31.
Meanwhile, Rehoboam the son of Solomon had become king in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 17 years in Jerusalem, the city that Jehovah had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel as the place to put his name. The name of Rehoboam's mother was Naamah, the Ammonitess. And Judah was doing what was bad in the eyes of Jehovah, and by the sins they committed, they provoked him more than their forefathers had done. They too kept building for themselves high places, sacred pillars, and sacred poles on every high hill and under every luxuriant tree. There were also male temple prostitutes in the land. They acted according to all the detestable things of the nations that Jehovah had driven out before the Israelites. In the 5th year of King Rehoboam, King Shishak of Egypt came up against Jerusalem. He took the treasures of the house of Jehovah and the treasures of the king's house. He took everything, including all the gold shields that Solomon had made. So King Rehoboam made copper shields to replace them, and he entrusted them to the chiefs of the guard, who guarded the entrance of the king's house. Whenever the king came to the house of Jehovah, the guards would carry them, and then they would return them to the guard chamber. And the rest of the history of Rehoboam, all that he did, is it not written in the book of the history of the times of the kings of Judah? There was constant warfare between Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Then Rehoboam was laid to rest with his forefathers, and was buried with his forefathers in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah the Ammonitess, and his son Abijam became king in his place.
And that is it. Now I will read Matthew chapter 12 verse 15 for Carol. Matthew chapter 12 verse 15, have come to know this. Jesus departed from there. Many also followed him, and he cured them all. Yep. So in the chat, devotions are now over. I will be live regular times today at 10 or whatever because I already had my what do you call it? Bible study on Wednesday. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. Love, don't judge. Peace out.